Welcome to The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 214, we welcome certified life coach Dina Brady to the podcast. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to The Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host, and I'm here today in 818 Studios with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Croft, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey. As always, we are so glad you found us, however you found us, and we hope that you had a great weekend. And rolling up here to the end of July, can't believe that. August is right around the corner, back to school, all of that stuff. And pumpkin spice everything. It's close. I feel it.
You ain't right, Dave.
I'm all in. I'm all in for pumpkin spice everything.
You just want fall to be here right now.
I got to tell you,
it's because we live in Florida.
It's my favorite season. It used to never be my favorite season, but fall in Florida is what is up.
It's because it's the only season we have, yo.
You're not wrong.
Well, it is a special day, Dave. Why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes, Dina Brady joins us. She is a certified life coach from the Life Coach Institute of Orange County, and so glad to have her. Dina, welcome so much to the podcast.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, today's going to be a great day, dear friend. I'm glad you're with us, and I'm excited for people to know about your work. And if anybody is out there on Instagram, they can see a lot of great posts. You do some of the best Instagram posts I've ever seen. And,
Thank
you know,
you.
Dina, the work you do is so good. And, you know, I've known you in a variety of settings, and I wanted to have you on the show because I think what you're doing is so important. And I also think that, well, let me say what I think is important about what you're doing is the integration of mind, body, spirit. And that's something that means a great deal to me with my own journey of recovery, my own journey of, kind of spiritual awakening. And I know you have a similar journey, and you know that our work for both of us seems to be the, you know, it's the living out of the recovery work and helping others, you know, heal as well. And so, you know, if people are on Instagram, they're going to see you as soulution coaching, SOUL, which you know, because we're friends, how much I love to talk about the soul. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing there, and then we'll maybe back up a little bit and say, how did you get here? But I want people to know about that right up front, because I think what you're doing there is important.
Sure. Okay. So I am coaching out of Orlando. I do one-on-one coaching in my office downtown. I'm launching group coaching in August, which I'm super excited about. I also have, they are 12-week programs typically. So after the 12 weeks, we reassess and see where the client's at. But the 12 weeks is really built to create an awakening of the spirit. And I just recently started doing breath work. I'm doing breathwork events monthly. And the whole intention behind that was to really bring intimacy and vulnerability and connection with groups, especially after COVID. I was just hearing a lot in my sessions that people were feeling so isolated and alone. And they were even having like anxiety going to the grocery store. So I just wanted to create the intention of getting us back in our bodies and back with humans and being authentic. So I absolutely love this work. I love people. I love kind of shaking them up and getting them back to their truth, you know?
Well, and I think just coming off a series I did on creating healthy relationships. And one of the keys, I believe, to health in any relationship is vulnerability. And I think that work of vulnerability, it gets us safe within ourselves. You know, and I think it's extremely, extremely important. And like you're saying, the connection, so many of us, myself included, it's like I'm connected to God every day. I have wonderful friends, but still during COVID, I had to work, I say as if it's over. I know it's not over, but we're all kind of out more. But during COVID, when it was during the lockdown, I really, had to dig deep within myself to, to still feel the same level of happy, of success, of connection. And there were days I didn't, because frankly, you just couldn't connect with other people in the same way. And a couple of the photos I've seen from the work, I could tell that people ended that work with you different than they started. When you feel
so
connected,
beautiful.
when you feel loved, yes, when you feel accepted, something shifts forever. And I think that's going to be a real key and component to people's healing. So tell me, what kind of breath work is it you're doing? I'm just curious.
It's rooted in BBTRS. So it's biodynamic breath work. So it's a trauma release. Very good.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, all the indigenous peoples of the world, you probably know this, but all the indigenous peoples of the world have these breathing techniques to take them into altered states. And here in the U.S., years ago, like I'm talking about late 60s, early 70s, everybody was doing LSD and thought that was the way to get these experiences. The Timothy O'Learys, the Ram Dass, they popularized the use of LSD in their sessions, right? And then it became a street drug. Well, what grew out of that is people realized, we could actually get these states without the drugs.
Exactly. It's happening now with plant medicine. I see it,
with ayahuasca.
That's kind of on the yes. So a lot of my intention is creating that journey without substance. Because for me personally, connecting to spirit, I personally can't use substance. So I want to make it available to everybody. Right.
Well, and in a way, so those substances that like ayahuasca, for instance, those come out of a very different tradition than we have. And it's not meant to be used the way it is being used in the U.S. I personally am never going to do ayahuasca. I will say it here now in front of God and everybody, because I already have spiritual experiences. I don't need that. And there's some way in which I think we give our power away when we use ayahuasca or those things, because it means, I can't have an experience without something else.
Right.
But
it's a tricky topic. I've gotten into many debates with people.
Me too. Well, we had on East Forest. He's a great musician. I love his music. I've had spiritual experiences listening to his music, and he was on the show and discussed the use of what is it, psilocybin, and so there are a great number of many ideas about that. And I also work with a therapist who is trained to use it in her practice. So, it's a very interesting topic. But I know for me in my work, and I know you in your work, it's really about the authentic God experience without the use of the drug.
And, speaking of that, I think in coaching particularly, that experience starts even with the phone call. When someone, whatever resonates inside of them to call and they're asking for help, like they're like, hey, Dina, I don't know who you are or what you're about, but I need help. That experience starts right there because they're kind of surrendering to needing something else, like needing some guidance or whatever it is. It's really spiritual and beautiful right from that phone call.
Right. Well, and I know you, like I say, you're absolutely right. And, so often we think of getting support or therapeutic as something of the mind, but like psychology, that word psyche means soul, right? And so you're working with the soul and you being aware, but you also bring with it the therapeutic training, and because I know you work in social services as well as doing like one-on-one work. You're working with a variety of people and a variety of backgrounds. And so, the therapeutic modalities, I should say, but you also realize that there's something informing the journey. It's the soul, and you're listening for the soul need. And that's exactly why I wanted you on the show. Yay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I know that you've had your own journey of recovery, and I haven't talked about it a lot in my journey, but my recovery journey was through Al-Anon that I grew up in a family with a lot of alcoholism. And even though I'm not an alcoholic, I needed help recovering because my addiction was to other people, other people's needs, other people's approval. And so I'm always the lover of the alcoholic or of the addict. And but I take that aspect of my recovery seriously. And I think Al-Anon and my working of the 12 steps has really accelerated my spiritual growth. So talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, your recovery journey, because a lot of people that listen are on that journey as well. And I wanted to mention mine because it's not always to alcohol or drugs.
Mm-hmm.
We're all recovering. Sometimes it's, gambling. Sometimes it's Debtors Anonymous. Sometimes it's eating. So, but the recovery is all the same virtually in terms of how we work it.
Sure. And I honestly, I don't think it matters. It's just the seeking outside of ourselves, right? To maintain. But yeah, so I got clean at 19 years old. How old am I? 30, almost 37. This was a while ago. And what it gave me was the opportunity to really explore spirit, explore myself, and just go on a journey for a long time. And it's brought me to some really weird things, and it has brought me to some huge awakenings. And my whole intention with life coaching, years down the line, was to take the good stuff, all the tools and modalities, and kind of put it together to give to people so they didn't have to maybe go through all the weird stuff. But yeah, I mean, recovery is beautiful. The 12 steps and traditions and the spiritual principles gave me a foundation to live a life beyond my wildest dreams, and to really not only connect to myself, but to connect to others.
Yeah.
Very vulnerably, and almost like mirrors, right? Like being able to see people, being able to connect to myself and other people, even if we're completely different, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a brother that got sober when I was pretty young, and it meant a lot to me to go, like when he was accepting his chip and everything, because I heard grown men and women. So I was probably about 10 or 11, and I grew up in a lot of dysfunction. So to go to a meeting where grown-ups were telling the truth, right, about what was really going on was pretty life-changing. I don't think he had any idea how it was impacting me as a youngster, but it was like, oh, wow, they're telling the truth about their struggle, about, life, about their drinking, about wanting to drink and not wanting to drink and drinking, and then how that felt, or wanting to use or whatever. And one of the things I think that's so empowering about the 12 steps is just that, telling the truth. And having said that, I think there is a lot beyond the 12 steps.
Yes.
And sometimes in recovery circles, it's like, if you say that, oh no, it's only the 12 steps. But the truth is, the founder of AA did a lot of spiritual work outside of the 12 steps. And and I wanted to make you aware that in September at my new this ministry I'm working at in Tampa, it's Unity North Tampa, we're going to do a whole weekend, and we're going to really include the spiritual. We're going to talk about recovery, and we're going to talk about the brain. It's going to be a lot. So I want to talk to you more about possibly being involved with that. But it's, I think it's called, well, first we were thinking about the name spiritual sobriety, but then we said, well, people might relate that just to drinking. What if we called it spiritual recovery? And then it's the new frontier of healing. Like there's more. It's like, yes, you want to get sober. Yes, you want to do that. And you don't have to keep telling the same story for 30 odd years. There's a new story to tell. And you can move past just sobriety and into really healing, transformation, and living the life you want to live. And that's what I think you're also trying to do with people.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it ever ends, right?
Right.
I mean, we just keep going and more stuff pops up. And I think really what it is we get better at navigating life, right?
That's true.
So like the more that I learn, the easier it gets to have disagreements and say, hey, take personal responsibility. I was wrong. Let's try this again.
Right.
It's funny. I was just talking about this, like having such awareness and like getting in disagreements with my husband. I automatically know now, like what my part is. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? It's just so hard to stay in that discomfort. Like I'm like, oh, this is me. Don't even. We don't even get to argue. Yeah, this is
like nobody has to be right on this one. This is just me. So
right. Let's just end it. There's not even arguing.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned hungry, angry, lonely, tired. That saved my life in my late 20s when I learned it. HALT, right? That's right out of the 12 steps. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, tired?
So simple.
It's so simple. It is. Well, and life is. I think sometimes now, because everybody seems to be selling something, we think that healing is complicated. But the truth is, the healing is, and the opportunity to heal has been there all along. And it's just us getting to the point where we stop the noise and say, what do I really want? What do I want my life to be about? And it's taking responsibility ultimately for, who we say we want to be in the world. And then we go, well, then healing's got to take place. And that's why it's a journey, right? Because we get from here to there. And like you say, it's never done.
Right.
It's never done. No.
And I think what you said there, like having integrity with our purpose is huge. Like really pausing to find out what our true values are and being in alignment with those. That's what I see. That's the biggest disconnect when I have a client in front of me who's experiencing anxiety or depression, is that they might be doing something that isn't in alignment with their truth, and it's something small, but it's keeping them awake at night, which is, creating anxiety elsewhere. So I think that integrity with, our purpose and our power, and just kind of being aware of the greater good, like, cause we're primal creatures. So like I think that we are created to like hunt and self-seek and be self-obsessed. So kind of, we don't need to be like that anymore. So getting out of that and thinking of what the bigger picture. Powerful stuff.
It is. And I feel like this is probably a good place to pause, because as we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the mind, body, spirit connection. I'd love to hear what you're doing too, Dina, in terms of your own practice. So we'll be back right after this brief message. Welcome back. We're glad you're with us. We have one of my favorite people here. Dina Brady is with us today. And I just am an admirer of her work and how she motivates people and brings people together in spiritual connection. So again, Dina, thanks for being here. The thing I want to lift up too, I think in your approach, is that there's a lot of grace in your work, because there's not a lot of judgment. When you work with people on a vulnerable level as a practitioner, you really learn to accept them and accept yourself right as you are. And a mentor I had many years ago would say, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. And that's warts and all. That's not trying to prove to anyone I'm okay or good or whatever. And she would also say, but that doesn't preclude the need to work on myself. That as I accept myself as I am, then I can actually see more clearly what is mine to do. And I thought that was very wise.
So good. Good.
So in your work, I know there's, again, I said at the beginning, like mind, body, spirit connection. And I think the breath work includes the body most definitely, and the therapeutic work. But how in your your own personal practice, how do you support yourself? Because I think sometimes that's helpful for our listeners to know, what do we do to get through a day? What do you do to like in your own spiritual work when nothing's online, you're home with your husband and your kiddo? How do you take care of yourself?
Sure. So I think over the years, it's been many different things. And there were points where it got very very hectic or rigid. And now I find it to be much more simple. So it is, making sure that we take care of ourselves and we have autonomy in our relationship. So my husband will go on surf trips. I'll go to Mexico and do trainings, or, whatever it is, we find ourselves, outside of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then simple things like we'll put reggae music on in the morning and the whole family dances. And that really connects us to spirit. It connects us to our innocence and just being together and joy and our inner child and just connection to more. So that vibration really goes into our day of dancing and music and singing and laughing. And then when things get pretty hectic for me, like when I really need to connect to God, because I see God everywhere now. I really do experience God all the time. But if things get tricky for me, I will do like a physical reprieve where I may bow down to God, or I'll go into the ocean, or just get on my knees and pray and ask for help.
Yes. And do you do yoga also? I had in my mind you did yoga. Mm-hmm.
I do. I'm certified yoga practitioner, and I do practice yoga. I practice breath work and meditation at home. But again, I think it got really, we are in this time where there's like so much information, and self-help is so huge that I see it with clients too, where people are like, I'm reading and I'm listening to podcasts and I'm doing meditation 30 minutes a day. And I'm like, listen, man,
you gotta live.
Take it easy. Yeah. Like just find something. So I think dancing in the morning and then having that daily practice of integrity with myself, integrity with my values, and just doing the next right thing. It's become very simple. I will put my feet in the earth or go out into nature often. That resonates strong with me. Yes.
Yes, me too. All those things I think are so important. And one of the things I wanted to lift up about the dancing that's so good, especially any dancing that's like reggae or tribal, it really opens up that first, second chakra, which are really grounding, right? And so those of our listeners who study the chakras, sometimes we think of those things as only spiritual or of the mind. I have to think about opening my chakras and things like that. But there are actually exercises to open the chakras. And that's one of them is doing a real dancing. And it's kind of a tribal dancing, where you get kind of ape-like, and it feels really good. My class laughed at me when I taught a chakra class, and I made a little video of that kind of dancing for them. And they were like, well, we never imagined you doing that. And I said, well, I have a lot of fun right here in this office. I said, because my family does that too. We'll turn on some music and I go, come on, I'll grab my son and we'll do some dancing. And it's vulnerable, it's innocent, it's connecting, and we don't realize it, but it connects us with God, with ourselves. And that first, second chakra are so important because it's about grounding, it's about connecting to earth, but that connects us with ourselves.
Right. And security, right?
Security.
It enforces.
That's like, yes, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, that bottom, safety and security, when you're connected to earth, everything, the day's going to go better.
And when I'm secure, I don't have to project all my stuff on you. I don't have to have unrealistic expectations of humans. And then I'm happy.
Imagine. Right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. So friends, if you haven't danced in a while, it might be time. Well, the thing, I have a dear friend and she lives in South Africa. She's been on the show. Her name's Cynthia Pather, and she does a lot of amazing therapeutic work as well. And we've talked about how in the Western culture, in the Western mind, we think that everything is of the mind. And so I think one of the reasons we're bringing in spiritually from so many other cultures is it's not just a mind process. It's a mind, body, soul process. It's the deeper breath work. It's moving the body. It's feeling the energy. It's like you say, just trusting yourself to know some days I just need a whole day to do nothing, or I need a day to just sit in my backyard and look around, and maybe I read, maybe I call a friend, maybe I don't do any of that. Maybe I'm completely unplugged, but just trusting ourselves to know what is mine to do today. And it doesn't have to be a mind activity. You don't have to be shoving more information in. It's a beingness. It's a reflecting, and I mean, I do this with my teenager. I say, have you had any time lately just to reflect or journal? He'll go, I need to do that. So he's learning at 15, this is an activity that is a part of a healthy life. It's not about putting more in. We have enough information already.
Just pausing and listening. Huge. It's such a huge practice, just pausing and listening to your insides. There's something so powerful about just listening to what you already have, because God is inside, right? The divine is inside.
Right. Inside, all around. And once you start connecting with that, like you say, you see God everywhere.
Right.
You see God in everything. And even in the struggle, you can see how, I'm sure you help your clients with this a lot, when you help them reframe how they've, looked at their history. It's like, but if this wouldn't have happened, you wouldn't be here. So you learn to bless experiences, even when they're difficult. You learn to reframe them in a way to go, oh, but I see now what that created in me and who I am today. And there's no way I would have gotten there any other way. That's how I feel.
Hero's journey, right?
Yep.
The hero's journey. Without that, what? Where are we?
Yes, exactly. Well, so I noticed on your LinkedIn, which I realized we weren't connected, which I thought was strange because we have been on other media platforms. It looks like you have a retreat coming up. Is that happening in Bali?
Yes, we did move it to next year. So it's next August.
Okay, good. And so tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Sure. It's a 7-day women's empowerment retreat. I linked up with Kendra Davies. She is the coach I started with about 7 years ago. So we started together. I was doing nutritional coaching with her, and then I branched off and did the mind, body, and spirit thing. But we did a retreat in Costa Rica many years ago, and it was incredible. So when she saw that I was doing the breath work, she wanted to link back up, and I'm in charge of like the adventure, which is my favorite, and the body experience. So she's incredible. She does her own program, and we have quite a few people going. I think we're trying to get 16 or so. So it's going to be amazing. Bali is the island of the gods, and it's been on my list for ages.
Me too. I've always wanted to go there. I noticed MC Yogi, and his wife, they do real regular Bali trainings and trips. And I'm always like, So I'm going to go sometime. I don't know when, but I'm going to go. I think my next trip will be to a couple of countries in Africa. I'm looking at Uganda and South Africa because I have friends there and people I support there and that support me. And and then I just realized one of them is coming to the States. So I said, I don't care where you go, I will fly to meet you. So, but I'm looking to do that. But Bali's on the list.
Uganda stole my heart. That's where I fell in love with my husband. I love Uganda. Oh, yes. Yeah, we did some work out there. And that's where I knew he was like not sleeping and building a church. And then he would run and help the kids with the orphanage, and he never complained. And I was like, this is the guy.
Your husband is amazing. I do love him too. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And, you mentioned earlier, any relationship, though, takes autonomy. It takes work on oneself. And I have a lot of couples come to me and say, do you do couples work? And I go, well, here's what I have to say is that the best thing is for you to work on yourself and bring your most healed self to the relationship. However, if you're doing that, I will also do a session or two and see if I can support you in any way. But I believe the healthiest relationships are the ones where each person is working on themselves and bringing their most healed self in. And then you're not taking the other ones on. You're not taking on the projection. You know what's yours. And, we're all human. Stuff happens. But I think that's the greatest level of healing in a couple.
I really think it's the key component, I see it all the time, the enmeshment, where one person is God, they're their everything, their best friend, their lover, their, so, and what happens with that is if that person is not okay, you're not okay, which is just there's a disconnect, right? There's just a very hard way to live. So I'm always preaching autonomy in relationships. It's a big deal.
It is. It is. And, part of the issue is we haven't seen healthy relationships modeled. And if we're not working on ourselves, then we're going to unconsciously repeat those patterns from the patterning and conditioning from when we were, 5 to 7 years old, what we saw our parents doing. So that's why all the work on this channel, Experience of the Soul podcast channel and this show, Authentic Spiritual Journey, is always about becoming more conscious of who we are and who God is and our place in that. And when we do, well, that's when the healing and transformation starts to take place. And we start to go, oh, this is not a behavior I want to continue. But when we're empowered, we know we get to make a new choice, right? So every day we get to make a new choice.
Definitely. And it's like what you're describing is getting back to that secure state so that I don't have to be like anxious and like needing my person to do something. I can just be my own human and allow my person to be their human, and we can live satisfied.
Yes. And you're modeling, you're modeling for your family, for your kid to, that this is what health is, and more and more and more. That's going to be happening because people are seeing, some of the stuff we're seeing in the world right now. I'll go in depth and say these shootings we're seeing, these are happening because these souls do not know they're loved. They do not know they're connected. They do not know that they are worthy. They do not know that they are a part of a greater whole. But when you have parents that are doing their work, that are loving their kiddos, what we're seeing in the world right now would cease to happen. If you know you're loved, if you know you're connected, if you know you are worthy, if you know that you're part of a greater whole, you would never inflict violence on another because, as you hurt someone else, you hurt yourself. So the reason I believe so much in the work we do and the work you're doing, Dina, is that it's going to change the world for the better, right? And sometimes when we're doing the work every single day, we don't see the impact. But just you living a conscious life, you and your husband, and your little kiddo, who I can't believe is how old now, probably like 4 or something, 3 or 4, that, you're making the world a better place every day just by getting up and showing up for yourself and being your autonomous self. You're showing the world how to live a more connected, as you say, safe in yourself, a life. And this is what the world needs right now, I believe.
That trickle down effect. I love that. I tell people all the time, like, the more that we become aware of ourselves, the more we can connect to the planet as a whole. And when you were speaking, I was thinking of there's like a disconnect sometimes from that other world of people. And, I do some work in the jail. And I don't know if you know Vicki O'Grady. She made the You Matter cards. I'm always giving those out in jail. Like, hey, I know you're here and I don't know your situation, but you matter and you're loved and I can see myself in you. And I think that that's such a strong message for everyone, whether you're in jail or in the mental institute or somebody who has the privilege of coming in to do one-on-one work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. And I'm thrilled to know you do that because really most people in those settings have never heard that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I've had like grown men break down to me and say that they've never heard that they matter or that it doesn't matter that their life is the way it is, or they always expected to be where they are, that there's more. I try to tell them that there can be more, even if it's here, even if you stay in the Department of Corrections, you can do work here,
Right.
So
it has been a great day, Dina. We've been very happy to have you on. As always, we want to support you and your work and your journey. And of course, when this airs, we're going to be, sharing this on social media and also in our show notes. We'll have information to Dina's work and her LinkedIn sites and all of that. So, of course, Dina, for you, we just see success for you, and we're going to be supporting you from our end. And if there's anything we can do to further your work, we know that you are changing the world for the better, by working with these souls in your soul Soulution Coaching. And all our best to you, your clients, and of course your family. So, and listeners, to you, as always, blessings on the journey. We're happy you joined us. Thank you for all the ways you share, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2022, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.